Bro, Hollywood P reacts.
What's going on YouTube? It's your dude Hollywood P back again for another video. Now as always folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also turn on your post notifications so that you stay up to date with all of my latest uploads. Alright folks, we are back. I took some time off because I wanted to watch the Streamers University with a lot of other folks. You know what I mean? We were sitting there this past weekend, just kind of watching what was going on. There was a lot of entertaining things going on with DDG, India Love, Lala Baptiste, everybody, Funny Mike, Deshae Frost, like everybody was in the building. Kai Cenat is a genius, we gotta admit that. But you know, after everything settled, after Monday when everybody was boarding flights going back home, I knew that the reality of what's to come was going to set in for our boy DDG with this whole custody battle with Halo and Halle Bailey. He admitted on his stream that he has to keep streaming. He has to stay busy or he gets depressed. You know, I told you before, when I first met DDG, he was very quiet. When the camera's not rolling, he's pretty much just standing there, kind of like a statue. You know, some people say that, you know, it's just part of being an introvert. But it's like when it's lights, camera, action, you would think DDG was the life of the party all the time. But that's not even him. It's crazy how he can turn it on and off. So he said that he is, you know, allegedly stressed out about this upcoming situation because I think the court date is scheduled for June 4th, if they haven't changed anything. So probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. DDG will be in court fighting for custody of Halo. As we know, Halle Bailey is trying to only give him 6 hours of visitation per week. And, you know, and DDG definitely is going to fight that. He just says he wants 50-50. But the way I was looking at things was kind of like, does DDG really want all that time? That's a lot. I mean, 50-50, when you're busy as you are, you're not going to really have time to, you know, play with Halo 50% of the time unless you're going to take some time away or some time off of streaming and stuff, because Halo, a lot of the places you go, Halo can't go. You know, doing all these collabs, and I'm sure Halle doesn't want Halo around all these females that you bring around on your stream. But, you know, maybe DDG is about to take a vacation and take some time off. I know he did state that he has to keep working or he would go broke or something like that, but he came back and said that it'll be years and years before he go broke, even if he didn't work anymore. If he just sat down in a chair and looked at a computer screen, he would still not go broke and still be able to obtain the lifestyle that he currently lives. You know, with the vehicles, the houses, taking care of his mom's bills and everything like that. So now we will see what happens, because it's coming soon, guys. It's already around what, the 27th, the 28th or somewhere up in there. The 4th is right around the corner. You know, you pay your rent, people pay their mortgage, and then boom, the 4th in court. I'm not sure with what's going really through, you know, DDG's mind or what's going through Halle Bailey's mind at this time. Like I said, Halle has pretty much been quiet. You know, she's probably sitting down with her lawyers Monday through Friday, trying to figure out how can she make sure that DDG doesn't get 50% of, you know, custody. That's her only thing. Like, she hasn't, like I say, the filming stuff, no movement. Halle Bailey is pretty much locked in and getting ready for this court case. You know, preparing stuff with her attorneys, allegedly. And DDG really needs to lock in as well. I know he's out having fun and stuff like that, unless, you know, he's got, like I said, he's got allegations on him for, you know, assault and everything. And I think that he really needs to lock in. I know he kind of wants to stay busy and stuff like that, but this is kind of like a serious situation. Somebody's, you know, either allegedly lying on your name or telling the truth, and it's making you look very bad. So you need to lock in more. That's my opinion. DDG needs to focus more on the case that he's got ahead of him. And I mean, you can miss a few Taco Tuesdays, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be all right. Which I know tonight is actually Taco Tuesday, so he should be going live here in a little bit. With Lala and India Love. I think they're gonna be around Plaque Boy Max and Silky. I think that's who it was, and Jay Senko. So they got like some type of Taco Tuesday event coming up. So that's gonna be, I guess, an exciting time for him. But I honestly just feel like he needs to really lock in and hone in on this situation, because if he doesn't, that 6 hours a week is not just going to be temporary. That's going to be permanent until Halo's of age to make his own decisions. Who we want to go with and voice an opinion. But all the trying to, I think she's even put in there that she's trying to keep him in LA County. He can't even go outside of the county. And I explained to you guys that all the fun stuff is outside of LA County. You know what I'm saying? Disneyland is, I think, in Orange County. You know what I mean? So he can't even take his son to Disneyland. That's kind of crazy. Now, she didn't say that he did anything to Halo. So I'm like, why is he being penalized about Halo if he didn't do anything to Halo? You saying he did something to you, but you didn't say he abused a child or anything like that. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how does that work? If he didn't do anything to Halo, he's not a danger to Halo, or he didn't touch Halo or put bruises on him. How can you make him, paint him as a menace to society or something like that? And like I said, we saw the bruise, alleged bruise to your arm and the small chipped tooth. I mean, I guess it's up to a judge to decide, the fate of this case on the 4th of June. But I just think that, I just wish they could have really just sat down and talked about things, because honestly, it seemed like on camera they did have a good relationship. I mean, just even if they weren't together, they still seem like they could be cool friends. You know what I'm saying? Like how you just seem like a very nice, sweet person. And DDG, you know what I mean? It's like the man just want to get his son. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's trying to do something to you and take your son and everything like that. Like it just feels like this whole thing is just kind of like blown out of proportion on Halle's end. I know you want to go to Italy, take Halo to Italy with you to film, and you just want him around you. You don't want him to see his father, but that's kind of crazy. Now, you guys live in the same city, pretty much the same county, and DDG is Halo's father. You're Halo's mother. Why can't, why can't you guys just work it out? I mean, the courts is there for a reason, for times when people can't work things out, so the courts decide on what's what. I don't know if the court will side with Halle, but it seems like, I give her this, she came in organized on what she wants. Closed mouth, don't get fed. If DDG just sits back and kind of just waits and just kind of goes with the flow, he will lose to Halle and have 6 hours of visitation a week, monitored by somebody, probably from the courts. They will sit there with a clipboard watching him play with his son like he's some kind of monster. This is insane. But that's how it is. I mean, I kind of got that idea that Halle was possibly like that because how she treated her cat, Poseidon. There's no way that the world should know your cat's name like that. Off the bat, Poseidon. She treated Poseidon like that was her baby before her baby was actually born. So I already kind of knew she was going to be really clingy with Halo, but not to the point where she's not going to let Halo hang with his dad, and he's a boy. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. But my thing is, I wasn't there when the alleged abuse happened or said to have happened. His brother, Dub, kind of spoke up and was like, DDG is really like a girl's boy, as he always says. Like the time when, the unfortunate situation of Dub's twin brother passed, Dub admitted that he wanted to allegedly get some get back. And he was trying to leave the house after it happened to go, do something crazy. And he was snapping on his mother. He was, pretty much cussing out Miss Tanya, which is, DDG and Dub's mom, and trying to get outside to go do some damage, to get that get back for allegedly, gunning down his brother, his twin brother. He was just emotionally in the wreck. It's time, we know what time it is, like when something happened to somebody close to us, and it's not from like a sickness, some type of illness or whatever. You go through that moment where you want to get revenge. When DDG the whole time was telling Dub, even though he was going through stuff, DDG's like, you can't stop talking to my mom like that, because he was defending her. So putting hands on a woman, I don't know. It just seems like that's not DDG's character. Now, like I said, I never put nothing past anybody, but it just seems like he comes to the defense of women so much till it just seems like, I don't know. And I know he has the alleged, stuff that happened with Ruby, but who knows? Because it was never a police report. He was never arrested for the crime. So, when these girls, if you're saying that stuff is happening and you're not calling the law and all this stuff like that, which I think Halle say she did. I think she had a detective or something like working the case, but it never went anywhere. Because she don't want to see DDG locked up. I don't know, like I say, the point where they're at right now, I don't know what went left other than the Brent Fayez accusations. They really got under her skin because everybody's putting the pieces and, the puzzle together. Everybody's kind of figuring out that Brent and her are really a situation. It's being confirmed by DDG's friends like Baby Rich, and everybody's saying the same thing. I've been saying it for a while. I'm like, yo, this is kind of... But for him to be in this situation from Brent Fayez is crazy, And I always noticed something that DDG and Halle never talked about marriage. It's like almost like they was just getting together just to have a great time, take trips, have a baby, just do everything lit. But they were never really trying to get serious. And I always kind of wondered, like, isn't this the season finale? Shouldn't this be it, Didi? I mean, you got the Little Mermaid and got the baby, but marriage was like and both of them was kind of like thinking like to themselves, like, hell no. So it was always something in my mind. I was like, nah, they're not really either getting along off camera or there's something larger to this picture. But anyway, guys, I am going to end it there. June 4th is the alleged date for the court case that's coming up, the custody battle, the fight for Halo. And so I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date. If I hear anything out here, if I see anything, I'll let you guys know. I am in these streets. But anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. And as always, folks, holla back at your boy. Peace.